It's the cool of the day, the cool of the day, the cool of the day. What's up, y'all? It's your girl Keish, and welcome to season 2, episode 8, called What's Behind the Joy. Y'all, we are on the Cool of the Day podcast, and I am so excited to introduce this powerhouse guest. She is full of strength, resilience, and purpose. She is the founder of Project BAM, which stands for A Better Approach to Autism and Mental Health, a nonprofit organization dedicated to raising awareness, providing resources, and being a voice for the voiceless. Her advocacy started from a deeply personal place. As a mother of three, a companion, and a woman who has faced her own battles with disabilities following a life changing cement truck accident and an ongoing fight with autoimmune disease, she has turned her pain into purpose. She's the force behind a growing movement, from starting a petition to mandate mental health and autism trainings for first responders, educators, and even daycare workers, to working on a House bill to make that vision a reality. Her journey is also one of motherhood and unwavering love. Her 11-year-old son, a twin, a survivor, lives with delayed myelination, autism, and aluminum toxicity. Through every challenge, she's remained steadfast, sharing her story to bring hope and understanding to families everywhere. And one of her favorite quotes perfectly captures her perspective on life. Take life 1 minute, 1 day at a time, because sometimes anything beyond that feels like too much. So get ready, sis, because this conversation is going to be powerful, raw, and deeply inspiring. Please help me welcome the incredible founder of Project BAM. She's known as Autism Mom Joy, but I call her Joy. Welcome, Joy.
Hey, thank you. Your introduction is real nice. I need to put you on its own with my stuff so you can introduce me. This is
Yes,
real
definitely. I
nice,
sure will.
real nice.
And I tell everybody, I'm like, I want to, introduce you in the most grand way, because what you're doing, is grand. It is meant to help people, and that's what I'm all about. All about helping and sharing the love. You know. Um,
For sure.
can you share your story and what inspired you
So,
to start?
there's a few different things going on. So, a little bit in terms of Project BAM. Project BAM was originated because of a horrific incident that transpired with my companion and law enforcement. He was going on a regular ride with our autistic son, and he was pulled over by an officer that basically was being a jerk. And he's like, "Get out of the car." And nowadays in 2025, even beyond 2025, when somebody's just telling you to get out of your car, anybody is going to want to know why. Like, tell me the reason for the stop. What did I do wrong? Like, what happened?
Yes.
And so the officer just didn't want to do that. He was just more so get out of the car. So my companion is like, "Look, I have an autistic child in the car. He doesn't need to get out of the car. He's an elopement risk, all these things." And the officer still just showed no kind of empathy. He did not care. And long story short, he claimed that the purpose of the stop was for a tail light stop. But in the cars that, like the newer cars, your app is going to tell you if your tail light is out. The technology in these newer cars is going to tell you everything. So we already knew that that wasn't the case. He was just picking. And we found out like later on that this was an officer that had harassed him before. Also an officer that had caused another family to be injured. He made that family get out of the car on a busy interstate, and one of the children, in fact, all of them had gotten hit, but one of the children ended up on a feeding tube. And
Wow.
so because my companion got slammed down on the hood of the car during this traffic stop, they snatched him out of the car, demanding him out of the car, just taking things way out of proportion, gave him a wrongful conviction, said that he was obstructing an officer just because he wanted to have our son safe in the car. During that horrific incident with the traffic stop, it just pushed me to want to go out and raise more awareness, because law enforcement officers, they don't have the training that they need. They don't have the tools that they even need. And a lot of times we hear the horrifying news stories, but nobody is really doing anything in the state of Georgia to provide solutions. So I took everything that happened with that situation and then pushed it to try to say, let's mandate mental health trainings, let's mandate
Yeah.
more resources, because how can we expect law enforcement to do anything different if they don't have the tools to do so? And you're going to have some people that care because it's just in them to care, but then you're going to have some that are buttholes and they're stuck in their ways, and they may be racist or they may have, issues, and
Mhm.
that's okay. But for the ones who are willing to learn and who are willing to care, I just feel like they need much more tools and resources. Like, for example, in my area, it makes no sense that you have police officers who only carry guns or tasers. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Why in 2025 do we only have weapons and not safety restraints for situations where you may have someone who is bipolar or dealing with sensory overload? I don't understand why law enforcement is not required to undergo training for safety restraints, but in a lot of areas, they don't have anything. So, what happens time and time again, you have pow pow incidents, or you have situations where somebody is severely harmed because they don't have the tools that they need. So that is what was the driving force behind Project BAM, because there needed to be a better approach to autism and mental health. And by doing so, the more that I advocate, the more people that have programs, I'm able to collaborate with other organizations who already have training programs in place or different laws. And one of the people that I'm actually working closely with right now is Eric's Law, and they just basically passed a law to where individuals who have disabilities can put it on their driver's license. So
Wow.
whenever they encounter law enforcement, when they're pulled over during traffic stops, there's a certain protocol that they're going to be already trained on to then know how to approach that person in that vehicle. And another one of the things that I'm advocating for is the intensified training for the teachers, the daycare workers, and then also to have like an envelope or folder in the car that a person can carry and say, hey, look, my child or whomever may not verbally speak. They may use an AAC device, they may use sign language or whatever the case may be, but we need to be able to have that across the board. It can't just
Yes.
be one state or not the other, one county and not the other. So where I come in at is to get the mandates nationwide, because if I go to Michigan, and then I go to Georgia, and then I go to South Carolina, and the laws are all different, or there's not a program in place, how are we actually giving a solution? We're not. So that's kind of where I come in at, is to figure out what each state is doing, put all the resources together, and see how we can expand it out in every city and every state. And even if one program doesn't get accepted or passed, that's fine. We can come up with something else. And then
Yeah.
I'm working also to get more affordable home security systems, because a lot of the families are dealing with elopement problems, but they can't afford the security. It's too expensive. So maybe some type of a discount for families that have elopement risk. I'm working on getting like more trainings for the school teachers. School teachers are burnt out, overworked. And when you send your kids to school, you expect them to know what to do with your autistic children. But the reality of it is, when my son was in school, all the school ever did was call me all day. Well, he's not doing this, or he's not doing that, or he didn't want to participate in music, or he did this or that. But then, whenever there was a certain teacher there, he was perfectly fine. And what I learned was the reason that one particular teacher could do so much is because she had more training. She understood how to deal with children with profound autism or nonverbal children. So, how can we get that expanded? Is going to be to provide them the resources and tools that they need. And it's more than just a quick video, 5 minutes. oh, I learned something about autism. It's going to require intensified trainings, put them in the situation with someone who's high functioning, someone who's on the lower end of the spectrum, someone with profound autism who literally probably will have a severe meltdown. They need to be in those situations in order to understand, because what I feel like has happened, the autism spectrum is so wide, a lot of people really don't understand it. Everybody thinks that autism is just a good thing. But in fact, a lot of families are out here struggling and suffering. Even like
Yes.
with my case with my son, he wasn't always autistic. He was a twin survivor. His twin sister passed in 2014. He was doing fine. The only issue that he had was jaundice at birth, but he was fine. He met all of his milestones. He crawled, he walked, he babbled, he sang. He was fine. But when I took him to get his MMR shot at 1, he developed a weird rash on his face. And then that led to 105 fever. That led to him just kind of gazing off. Like it was weird. It was like it wasn't a seizure, but he was just gazing off and his eyes was rolling and just weird stuff.
Mm.
And later on, I took him to the doctor and they're like, oh, this is just a rare reaction. Give him Tylenol. He's going to be fine. That was not the truth. I ended up going doctor to doctor, hospital to hospital, and later on finding out that his shot contained a very high dose of aluminum. The
Wow.
aluminum had, the aluminum had caused brain swelling. And because they did not tell me this and they were not truthful when I first took him to the hospital the first time, it allowed for him to develop so much swelling to where it caused basically like mental retardation, which they don't like to use that word anymore, but that's what it calls. So my son has more than autism going on. He has multiple things. And the reason why I'm always so transparent about it is because I was silenced for so long. People didn't want me to tell my story. They didn't want me to tell people that the aluminum toxicity happened to my son. Everybody wanted to kind of brush it under the rug and make it seem like he was just autistic. But the reality is he had a very high level of aluminum. The thing about it is, else would he have gotten aluminum from if it didn't come from that shot? He didn't have anything else that day. And the symptoms started before he got the Tylenol. So now they're saying, okay, Tylenol can cause autism. Okay, let's say we use that. If that is the case, it could have exaggerated what already was happening with him. But the reality of it is, the aluminum level that he had was such a toxic level, he would have literally had to been injected with it or drink it out of something.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we've kind of dealt with. And like when it comes to me, as a mother of three and as a companion, it's just been a lot over the years because I was hit by the cement truck, had to relearn to walk again, dealing with that. And then I had lupus and I'm dealing with that
Oh my
journey.
God.
And then I'm also looking at all of the things that are going on in the autism community. And I'm sitting back like somebody has to give more resources. Somebody has to do something. So behind the scenes, it's like I'm online as an advocate, providing the resources and doing that kind of thing. But it takes community and it takes for more than one person to come together to do it, because it can't just be one person trying to do everything. And me personally having my own disabilities and things of that sort, I'm not out here every day just advocating, doing all the work. I'm not even in a physical condition to do any of that. So what I am able to do is put together resources, provide them online, and then connect all parties together so that we can give solutions to all of these problems that are going on. Because probably in a week's time frame, I'm getting like maybe 20 to 30 emails of teachers, parents, different people that are just going through so many things and they need help and they need an outlet, but they're not getting the help that they need from nonprofits. They're not getting the help that they need from the people in their community. So the purpose of Autism Mom Joy, the purpose of Project BAM is to be a better approach to autism and mental health all the way around, and not just for autism, but for any type of mental disability, PTSD, anxiety, OCD, depression, bipolar disorder. Anybody can be going through anything and they just need an outlet, or they just need to know that somebody out there understands and they're going to be willing to help them find the needed resources for their situation, whether that's counseling, whether that's therapy, whether it's church, whether it's financial assistance, housing. You know, we're going through a government shutdown right now. Everybody's going through something different. Like myself personally, I'm not getting a lot of my health care that I should be getting because they're wanting to say that they can't do telehealth because of the shutdown. Unfortunately, some of my doctors are at a Mayo clinic. So because they're not able to do some of my telehealth visits, it's either going to be I travel 5 hours away to get to the appointment, or I don't get the appointment because they can't do the telehealth. Even some of my local appointments have been affected by the shutdown. And it's like people don't understand how you can be affected financially, mentally, physically. It takes a toll on you. So that's kind of the whole background to Project BAM, Autism Mom Joy. I'm doing a lot virtually because of my health, but it's one of those things to where I'm just doing what I see needs to be done despite what I have going on. It somebody has to still do it. So that's kind of where that comes from.
Wow, wow. You said um it was so much, and I'm like, my God, you know, first of all, wow. Wow. I didn't know you were doing all these things, you know. I didn't know that you just never know what people are going through. You know, you never know what anyone is going through. And the very first thing that I want to say is that's scary. You know, like the very first thing that you talked about, you know, about your companion being pulled over and your son is in the car and, you know, and the police officer just, you know, acting crazy, you know? And I remember like thinking about those type of things with my daughter. You know, as I was telling you, my daughter has autism and she doesn't she may not respond as they want her to respond, you know, like and so as a parent, like that's concerning and then as a black parent, you know, that's even more concerning, you know, especially when we were hearing all the news about, you know, when people were getting mistreated by cops, you know, that was like
Mm-hmm.
a crazy time because you're like trying to just stay inside, you know, like out of fear and I'm like, my God, you know, but then you started talking about ways that you can help. Like, even though that happened to you, you could have stayed prideful. You could have been like, you know, talking about them and, not doing anything like most people and just talk about it, but not doing it, doing something to better the community, doing something to help the officers out, the paraprofessionals out, doing something to help first responders understand. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like, you know, it's just a miscommunication, you know, because people, not everyone has autism kids in their home. Not everyone has dealt with people with autism. They think, you know, sometimes by
Mm-hmm.
our skin color, they think that, you know, we're just acting like animals or something, you know. And it's a shame that, you know, of that, but we have to teach them otherwise. Like we have to teach them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think it's a great thing. And one of the main things that you talked about the resources, that cops only carry guns and tasers. And I never thought about safety belts or anything like that. I never thought about, you know, why don't they carry that? You know, why don't they carry a different type of safety measure for people who have autism, people who are on the lower, you know, the lower end of the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
who may not be able to communicate as they want them to. And these are, you know, people who may not even look like they have autism. You know, my child, she don't look like, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to say that, but she doesn't look like it. You know, she looks normal. And a lot of people say that, you know, a lot of people think that autistic kids are supposed to look a certain way, you know? And so that really resonated with me, how much we're profiled, you know.
All the time, all the time.
Yes.
And that's kind of like, so I've learned so much on this journey too. Like when you were talking about like not realizing that the cops only had like the weapons and the tasers. So there are like different levels of safety restraints. Like when you go to the hospital and they have like the psych ward and they have to restrain somebody, you have that type of restraint. But you also have like these padded restraints where, let's
Mm,
say, if somebody was coming at me with a scissors, I could take that barricade between me and them and block them from cutting me or whatever the case may be. But you have to be trained on it. You have to go through a whole certification. And that's one of the things that I've been advocating for as well. I'm like, okay, so what if they have to be trained on it or they have to have certification? Let's get the funding there so that they can get it, because if you don't give them the tools that they need, they're just going to continue to claim immunity on everything. And that's what happened like in our legal matter. We
wow.
did pursue legal against this officer and the county, and the judge basically granted him immunity for the bodily harm that was caused against my companion. And so we could have been out here getting ticked off and rioting and doing whatever, but I was just like, I'm gonna start a program because we need more resources, because we need this can't happen again. If you're gonna give these officers immunity, then everybody needs to be protected. The citizens need to be protected, but then the officers need to have the tools that are necessary to handle a police encounter with someone with a mental disability or someone with a child who has a mental disability, point blank, period. You can't keep giving them immunity when they are doing wrong, but then it's like you can't expect them to do better if they don't have the tools that they need to even do better. So it goes hand in hand. If they don't know, then they don't know. But then
Yeah.
if they don't have the tools that they need, they're going to continuously grab weapons, and that's not safe either. So, there's a lot, and like I've typed up so much that I want to present to Congress next year, and I've got like over 17 different things. And I mean, the list goes on to the issues. Another thing, a big highlight of what I want to focus on, which is kind of completely off subject, but is to allow mental health and behavior assistance in the school system, because there's entirely too many children with conditions, and they may be doing ABA therapy or some type of therapy outside of school, but when they're in school, they are struggling. And it's like the
Yes.
school systems are not allowing anybody from the outside to come into the school, but the counselors are not able to do it all. The paraprofessionals can't do it all. So how do we get a better approach to autism mental health? Is going to come from every angle. Stop
Yeah.
the gaslighting. Stop assuming that parents got it all together. They need more respite care. They need breaks. A lot of these parents are dealing with mental health problems because they are tired and burnt out. I personally know what that feels like, because there was a time where my son wasn't sleeping. I'm talking, will stay up all night, all
Ooh,
day, and then the meltdowns and the aggressive behaviors that he was experiencing, he still experiences that, but it's just not all day like it used to be. It
yeah.
used to be to a point where he was banging his body through a wall. Do you hear me? He was harming himself, head banging. He had to wear a
Wow.
helmet for a while. He was self-harming. He was banging his head through walls. He was taking objects, banging it, trying to make a hole through the wall, then taking his head and pushing it through the wall because he
Mm,
didn't know how to communicate. He didn't know how to express what he was feeling. And so when you're going through that, it gives you, as the parent, the feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm failing my child because I can't help them. Not only can you not talk, you're not verbal, but then you're hurting yourself. On top of that, I don't know what more to do as a parent to help you. So then the parent, you're beating yourself up. That puts you in a depressive state. And so
mm-hmm.
I created Autism Mom Joy to have a platform to where I can say what I want to say. And when I say that, I say it to say that I don't care about a following. I care about community. I don't care about numbers. I care about people coming together, like-minded people who may be having a good day, but who may also be having a bad day. But it's okay to say that on my platform and not be judged by it. And
Yeah.
so I wanted a space where people could come and just be raw, unfiltered, uncut. And that's where Autism Mom Joy came about, because I felt like I was silenced a lot of the times when I was going through things with my son, and I was like reaching out for help, and it was like, oh, why are you complaining? Or, you just don't want to deal with your child. And that's not the case. You want to be able to vent about how you're feeling without judgment. And nobody understands how it feels when you're watching your child harm themselves. And the one thing you want to do for your child, or anybody's kid for that matter, is protect them. I would
Yeah.
never want to see my child hurt himself. Cause it's like, how in the world, like what? It's just crazy. And then when I'm looking at him and he's all bruised up and banged up, and I gotta know that he did this to himself. So it
Yeah.
was like taking such an emotional toll on me. I was like, this is why, and I don't know if the website will block you if I say this word, but the self-harm against a person when they harm themselves and they end up deceased. This is why that happens so much in the autism community, where their parents end up depressed and they hurt themselves and their kids because they feel like they don't have an outlet. Just here
Yeah.
recently in my area, this woman harmed herself and four of her kids. And it was just so sad to me because I'm like, I bet this person wanted to reach out to somebody, but either they were judged, they didn't know how, or they felt like there was no outlet to what they were going through. And people
Wow.
are so judgmental when it comes to special needs. They forget that the parents have their life has changed as well. Whatever
Yes.
your life was before your injury or disability or whatever the case may be as a person is one thing, but whatever your life was as a parent and the vision that you had for your child and what you thought your child was going to be, especially relationships, that's a big one that I'm going to start talking about too. But when you get married and you have kids, you don't factor in what if my child is special needs.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really thinks about that. But then when the child has a disability, you go through the motions, but you also beat yourself up as well. Dang, maybe I shouldn't have done this, or maybe I shouldn't have done that. And that brings on stress that you're putting on yourself. And then people don't understand how that can take a mental toll on somebody. So that is collectively Autism Mom Joy and then Project BAM. It's two different things, but it's the reason why I am the way that I am with my community. Like I'm really, really big on I don't care if somebody came on there and was like, I don't want to be an autism parent today. I ain't gonna judge you because I'm gonna understand what you mean. It's not that you're saying you don't want to be a parent today. You don't want to deal with the autism aspect of the toll that it has taken on you. Whereas some people are gonna say, oh, don't say that. You're this and you're that. And they're gonna bash you. I'm gonna look at it from a different perspective because I'm trying to take a different approach to autism and mental health and see the big
Ooh.
picture that
Yes.
we're all dealing with so much here. We got to come together and have each other's back. Like parents are burnt out. Then that's just the bottom line. We're burnt
Yeah.
out here because it is not an easy journey. So that's
Wow.
that's my outlook and that's who I am and like what I envision, for my platform and everything. It's just for people to just really just be raw and uncut. And I'm gonna throw resources on my page and I'm gonna throw different things out
Nice.
there here and
Yeah.
there and positive quotes. And my DMs are always open. Like I may not respond in the 1 day, 2 days, or even three, because sometimes they get backed up. And a lot of times, Instagram, especially Instagram, they like to mess with my followers and my DMs. And sometimes somebody can message me, I won't see it. Like it'll just disappear and then it'll pop back up in like 4 days. So I know that they do some stuff with my following and they fluctuate my followers. They take away followers. Instagram can be very, very iffy, just like YouTube has been. I've lost YouTube channels in the past, and that's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay because even if I lose everything, my mission remains the same. And even if I can only help
Exactly.
one person, no matter if my platform gets shut down completely today, I've already made such a huge impact on the things that need to happen in the world. I feel in my heart that it was my duty and it was my mission and it was only right to do. So I'm cool. Like I don't even make money off of the things that I'm doing. And the things that I've done in my local area, Instagram don't even know about it. Like I have a partnership with a restaurant in my local area. We give away food to a special needs family every month. And I'm also giving away gifts like to the family. So like if the
That's
child needs
awesome.
sensory toys or they need clothes or whatever, I use my own money to get that.
Yeah.
So it's like there's so many things, and I've partnered with Posy Pals. That's an organization you'll probably see on my platform a lot. I've partnered with them. Like we're always giving out stuff in my community in Georgia. But again, I don't put a lot of that always on social media. It's every time that I'm doing something because it's kind of one of those things to where I put it on there after it's over, but it doesn't even matter because I've been doing this stuff before Project BAM even existed, before Autism Mom Joy existed. That's just who I was, and I know the struggle. I know what it feels like to have a child that you don't understand. They can't talk. My son, he stopped talking. He just started back able to use his words maybe like a few years ago, and he still
Amen.
struggles to speak, but I work with him every day in, day out. That was the whole reason behind me homeschooling him, because it was like the school kept calling. He don't want to go to music. He don't want to do this. And I'm just like, you know what? I broke my back in this car accident. Sometimes things happen in the weirdest ways for a reason. If I'm not at home, if I wasn't at home, I wouldn't be able to homeschool him. So I utilized the time while I was at home recovering to literally, go ahead, you can get it, to literally figure out a way to teach him. And the way that I started was recording my voice every day, naming the days of the week, the colors, the shape. My name is such and such. Today is such and such. And
Wow.
I would do it each day. And then he finally, one day, he just started repeating it. And he started repeating it again. And now you can ask him, how old is he? What is his name? He went from being able to say, deep, 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 beep, beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep, to now he can say, my name is, and he's going to tell you his name. I am such and such age. Today is such and such. And he can't read. And that's fine because I already have claimed healing on that and he'll be able to read eventually. So that's
Amen.
okay. We're going to
Amen.
take those little bits and pieces and we're going to work with it. And one of the biggest thing, if I can tell any family out here with an autistic child, I would leave them with a message of, do not let the fact that your child can't do something dictate what they're going to do.
Wow.
And don't let the fact that they can't talk deter you, because communication comes in many ways, whether it's through pictures, whether it's through AAC, sign language. Don't spend so much time focusing on what they can't do that you lose sight on teaching them things and having a bond with them through the ways of communication that they have. And
Yeah.
that's like the biggest thing that I feel like in the autism community, if parents would stop focusing on my child can't talk, my child can't this, can't that, and they build off of what they can do, they'll learn that their kids can do so much more. So
Yes.
there is no like quick thing. There is
Yeah.
no, oh my God, my child was healed overnight. It doesn't work like that. Even with the detoxes, even with medications, you're still gonna have to give things time. But I
Process.
will say magnesium threonate, and this is a disclaimer, I'm not giving medical advice, but magnesium threonate was a godsend for us. It really helped him a whole lot with his focusing, and it helped him to kind of get his words out a lot more.
Okay.
Vitamin D, not knowing that he was deficient. Sometimes it's not just autism. Sometimes the child can literally need magnesium. They can be deficient in something. And I think people forget that too. We get so caught up in my child is autistic, they forget that your child is also human and needs minerals and vitamins to live just like everybody else would. Their thyroid can be low, you know? They could need B12. They could need vitamin C. It could be so many things that can support their brain function. People completely forget about all of those things because they think conspiracy every time you start talking about autism and what caused it and that kind of thing. They forget if your vitamin D is low, it can make you cranky. It can make you act all type of ways. But so that's kind of one of the things about my advocacy. Like I just want to bring people back to the reality that they're missing the big thing here, which is that autistic people are human just like us.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Whew. Listen, you was talking to me too. Shoot, I'm over here like just gaining all types of information. And mind you, my daughter's 7, and I've been working with her in denial. I was in denial at first. I was like, no, not my
Yeah.
baby. Like, have you ever been at that point where you were like in denial? Like,
hmm
no,
hmm
no, no, no. Like
And I
praying to
still
God,
go
like,
through it.
yeah,
I still
yeah.
go through it. And I think it again, that's why I say I like to be raw and transparent. I'm an advocate now. I smile and I uplift other families, but I still have my days, especially when my son is acting up or like if he regresses, where I'm like, how did we get here? Like, not my baby. He don't have
Mhm.
this. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't
Yes.
believe that he got this. And I think that I have those moments because we don't ask for these things to happen. Nobody wakes up and then thinks, okay, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna have a car accident. I'm gonna break my leg, break my back, and then my life is gonna change from working for a Fortune 500 companies to buying this and owning this land and owning this house to having to sell everything and starting over. You don't expect that, and I'm just throwing that out there. You don't expect for your life to just change like that. So when you get an autism diagnosis or a cancer diagnosis or whatever it is, you're having to literally go through the stages of grief. And people don't understand that. And the stages of grief can last forever. It's not like something that can go away. When somebody loses somebody, people expect them to be okay in a couple of weeks after they've gone to a funeral and they come back to work. That person is still dealing with that grief. Even if they're smiling, you got to know
Yes.
that they're still going through the motions. It's just a matter of what you see visibly. And it's the same thing with autism. It's like nobody would have thought that this would happen to their child. Everybody wants the best for their kids. So when something like this happens, it literally repeats itself and takes a toll on you every time your child struggles. And for me, it's when my child like struggles or he goes through something. I'm like, why he gotta go through this? Like, why is this for real? Do he really have this? Like, is it? And I don't feel bad about feeling that way because I'm like, okay, you're human. These are human emotions that you're experiencing, and it's perfectly okay to not want your child to have autism. I think for a lot of time people felt so scared to say they didn't want their kids to have autism because they felt like it was such a bad thing to say out loud they didn't want their children to have autism. And that's because people only portrayed the good side of autism. Einsteins and people who were super, super smart and could do numbers in their head and they were so perfect. But in actuality, when your child is fecal smearing or struggling to write their name, can't tie their shoe, or can't put a spoon to their mouth, nonverbal, they're struggling to do simple tasks. What you
Yes.
mean you don't want a cure? Who would want their child to struggle like that? And so that
Right.
brought on a divide in the autism community because people don't want you to say that. But I
Yeah.
personally don't care because I'm like, what do I have to lose by being honest and transparent? No, I don't want my son to have autism. It makes him struggle. It makes it difficult for him to do basic tasks. It puts a toll on my relationship with his father. Certain things we can't do because it's going to affect his schedule. Certain things triggers him. Certain perfumes trigger him. Like the lighting in
The
the
littlest
house,
things, yeah.
the smallest thing. So why would I want him to have something that's going to negatively affect him and everybody around him? That would be a lie. And I feel like I could not be a transparent advocate if I sat there and told the world like I'm okay with my son's autism. No, it has caused a lot of strain on him and a lot of strain on us trying to help him and then trying to figure out how to maneuver around his condition. It has been very hard,
Hmm.
very hard. So, that is a hard part in the autism community, but it's also again, you have to not care. And when I say not care, you have to not care about the people who are going to be against how you feel. With all due respect, I don't require anybody to always agree with me, but agree to disagree. And I feel like if a person can't agree to disagree in the autism community, social media is not going to be for them because you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be against your feelings, and that's okay. But you're going to have a lot of people who support and agree with you. They're just scared to say it. And
Yeah.
I deal with that. A lot of people feel how I feel, but they would not dare say it out loud on camera
They're
or
probably a
online.
DM you it.
And I
Yeah.
can't, and because of respect and HIPAA violations, I can never say who's doing it, but celebrities, teachers, police
Mm.
officers, firemen, doctors, all DM me all the time, email me
Wow.
all the time how they feel, but they would never say it out loud. My own city council members in my area emailing me how they feel about stuff. Oh, we need your program. But when I had the town hall meeting, sat right there and was like, oh, we already have an autism program. And I'm thinking, says the person who just messaged me yesterday saying how everything that I'm saying we need is needed. Which side you're going to be on? Like, don't put a facade out here and act like you got everything together, but then behind closed doors, you're messaging me saying what we really need. Like, and that's the hardest part about being an advocate because you're going to have people who want to secretly admit that we need help, but then go out here to the city council meetings and things like that and act like everything is okay.
Yes, people talk a good game, but then when it comes down to it, they shy away or they fear away because of their jobs, their
Yep.
roles, that
Hmm.
money. You know, they're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, oh no, well, maybe I shouldn't say anything because it's gonna jeopardize me. You know, when you're thinking about you, then that's it. Like you, that's it, you know, but like you're advocating for the community. Like you're advocating for these children, you know, and teenagers and adults who have autism, you know, and then not only them but also the parents, you know. And I think what you're doing is beyond amazing. It's impacting, you know, the community, and I know that, you know, you see it impacting so much more. And but right now it's impacting a lot, you know. Right now what you're doing is impacting a lot, and I know that you can't physically go out there and, you know, like do it by yourself, but you have that community, you know. And I feel like that is going to happen like one of these
And
days.
it has been,
Yeah.
so many states have started programs,
Oh,
definitely, and they've
good.
sent me things. But one of the things that I want though, I would like for, if I could have it my way, and I know this is a far reach, but for all the states to just kind of get on the same page. Like, I don't want it to be to where we got 50 states in the US, but only 5 states have programs for autism. And then they're all so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be my program. I'm okay if everybody got their own. That's fine. I just want every state to have something in place to protect everybody, because you never know where you may move to. You know what I mean? You never know where you may be traveling to. And if nobody understands autism, and even in the local grocery store or different places, we need community all on the same page. If my son goes off wandering up the street, I would love for my neighbors to see him eloping and bring him back home, because we have
Yeah.
so much community involvement. The neighbors will be like, wait a minute, I think that's that child that may be down here, because there's street signs. There's things in place to help families. And that's like my biggest dream. Like, if everybody could just get on the same page, it doesn't have to be my project. It doesn't have to have anything to do with me. It could just literally be where somebody saw what I was working towards and they started their own program. Cool. I support that. What state you in? Let's promote it. Let's talk about it. What do you need me to do? Like, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to actually help us.
Have you ever thought about, like, I know it's some moms that come on like your lives and things like that. Like, have you ever talked to any of them to see if that's something that they want to like branch out into their state? Because I know that it's a lot, probably people in each state that you may talk to,
Yeah.
that, you know.
Two, actually, three of my supporters, one of which just got a law passed. Eric's law just got passed.
Mm,
And then another one of my supporters, he has collaborated with an organization that has like police training. So he's trying to get them to expand state to state. And if so, I wanted to collaborate with them in the state of Georgia to do some things. But Eric's law, we're actually working to get Eric's law passed into all nationwide. And so I'm going to be standing beside and around Eric's law really soon. I actually have a meeting coming up with them on the 13th to learn more about it. But I know you get like the butterfly symbol put on your license and things like
that's
that. And it would
nice.
let law enforcement know that you have a disability. And they have some type of training they're going to be doing. I don't know if it's as intensified as the other training, but there are a few of the supporters that I have that are getting their own programs. And that is awesome, because if we can get somebody who already has a House bill passed, it's much easier to get it expanded to a different state. And then for me, I wouldn't even worry about getting a law passed for my brand. What I would do is just focus solely on trying to work towards getting some of these wrongful convictions from special needs individuals and parents that got convicted by the police for not doing anything, getting their convictions overturned if they had like disabilities or whatever. And say, for instance, the cop told somebody, stand still, stop resisting, but they're autistic. They don't know what you're talking about. And they moved and you gave them a conviction. Now they have a criminal record, but they don't even understand what that means. I feel like those charges need to be dropped. That's just my opinion. I know and I get it that some people are high functioning and they understand what they were doing, but a lot of these kids, they don't even know what you were asking them. So giving them an obstruction charge, or like my son's father, for example, him getting an obstruction charge for simply wanting our son to be safe, I feel like that was petty. Like it was uncalled for. So like in
Yeah.
those situations, I would love to get some of the convictions overturned that are wrongful, but then also implementing something in the school systems to get more mental health care for the parapros, the teachers, and the kids. I feel like I would shift my focus to that if we could get Eric's law passed in my state. That would take my focus off of the police and the training for the
Mhm.
police, because then we could just use that law, go ahead and get some intensified training. Either way it goes, it's going to get done. It don't have to be under my name, and I'm okay with that. And then we can go on to the next state, and we can just go all the way down the list.
That's
Do it in
good.
alphabetical order. Let's push
Do
something
it.
to each state, and then I'm cool with that. So that's kind of where I'm at. And
You know what you're doing. You know what it is
so
that
yeah.
needs to be done. So keep doing it, keep doing it. Keep fighting for what's right. So
Yes,
before we
ma'am.
close, because you didn't answer all my questions, like I'm like, you know what? I don't got no questions. I don't got no questions. But I got this one last question though, for those moms, who are listening, with kids, who have autism or autoimmune diseases. What would you want every parent who feels alone in this journey to hear today?
I think that I would say most definitely know that it's okay to not be okay, and don't put the weight on your shoulders that everything has to be perfect. And also know that it's okay to need a break and to step away from your reality. And I'll give you a quick example. We deal with a lot of doctor's appointments. We deal with a lot of therapies. We deal with a lot of stuff for myself, my son, my household. We're immunocompromised. And I didn't realize that I was going into depression because I was still showing up, right?
High
But then it
functioning, yeah.
started but then I started realizing that I was, because some of the things that I was required to do were making me just so frustrated. And so I picked up the phone and I said, I'm going to cancel my appointment. And they're like, what you mean? I'm like, I'm going to cancel my appointment for my son, for myself, for the rest of this week. And they're like, are you sure you want to do that? And I'm like, yes, because I need to take a mental break, because I feel like I'm losing myself in the midst of so many appointments and so much that's going on with having immunocompromised issues and autoimmune and a special needs child. Sometimes you got to know that it's okay to take a step back, to take a day off, even if that means just taking a day off from therapy, to just regroup. Even if you just got to watch something funny on TV, you got to take a step back, because you will burn yourself out. And once you get burnt out, it is very hard to come from that, because you got health issues that can take over you, whether your blood pressure starts going high, whatever the case may be, you start having headaches. So, my best advice for any parent out there would be to know it's okay to take a step back. And even if you don't have anybody to watch your kids, go sit on your front porch, go sit in your backyard, play some music, take you a breather in nature, regroup, and then go back to being the best mom or dad you can be, because you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you
Mm-mm.
are you are no good for your kids if your mental health is not right. And if you're a believer in God, we already know you got to pray. You
Yes, and
got to
have
pray, because
faith.
you're not even going to get halfway without prayer. But if you're
Yeah.
not a believer in God, then I would encourage people to get to know God and to get to know and believe in something, because faith is going to be a big part of it as well.
Yes, get you some Jesus. Listen, listen, listen. Oh my goodness. Well, I can say that for me too, like it was hard, before we close out, I'm like, it was hard, dealing with all the appointments and dealing with like people coming to the home, and I had to revamp my schedule, and especially during COVID it was like, I had to work from home. I was pregnant with my littlest baby, and my daughter was at home with me, so I was stressed, but I kept, I just kept in my mind that everything will be okay. Everything will
And
be
that's
okay.
it.
It's a process. You're helping your daughter. You're getting the things that you need for her, but also take that time out for you too.
For
It's
sure.
okay. Take that time out, and I'm so grateful that my daughter Alila, she does have family on her dad's side because I don't have much family out here on my side. But her dad's mom and he and her dad and their family, they are great supporters. And they take her when I need them to, so I can
Hmm.
get that rest. And people don't understand how draining it can be. But at the same time, I thank God because the Lil I knew before is not the same Lil today. Like before, it was hectic. It was a lot of hitting and screaming and all type of stuff because she didn't
Hmm.
she didn't know how to express, how she felt. And
Hmm.
we didn't
Hmm.
understand anything she was saying. Babbling and all type of stuff. But now through the therapy and through prayer and through fasting and everything that I've done, I went to
Hmm.
God. And by faith, I said, this is gonna work out. It's gonna work out. It's gonna
That's
work out.
beautiful. Beautiful
And
testimony.
she's talking sentences and her speech is getting better. She's getting better in school. She's like the mom in the class, like she she's
That's
doing
cool.
much better. And whenever that fear try to creep up, like what if she, when she gets older, like what, will she be able to like support herself? Like,
Hmm.
God reminds me that it's okay. She's gonna be good.
Exactly.
She's gonna be good,
Exactly.
and
She's
you're
got a
gonna be
praying
good.
mama. She's got a praying mama, so it's gonna be
She
good
do.
anyway.
You're gonna be good. So, thank you for joining me. Like, what an incredible and powerful conversation with, can I say Autism Mom Joy? Or
Yes,
say,
ma'am.
okay, Autism Mom Joy. I love that name. The founder of Project BAM, a better approach to autism and mental health. Her story reminds us that purpose is often born from pain and that one voice truly can spark change, y'all. From turning personal trials into advocacy to championing mental health and autism awareness for families and first responders alike. She's showing us what it means to lead with courage because it takes some courage, like Joshua. Like God told Joshua to be brave and courageous, compassion and conviction. If today's episode moved you, sis, don't just stop here. Get involved. Reach out to her. Get involved and share her message and support the work she's doing through Project BAM because together we can help bring more awareness, more resources, and more love to those who need it most. And remember her words, take life 1 minute and 1 day at a time because sometimes beyond that feels like too much. And so before we leave out, Autism Mom Joy, can you please tell everyone where they can find you, where they can support you, and how they can get involved?
Yes, ma'am. So they can find me at Autism Mom Joy on Instagram. The petition is also going to be available there. The QR code and the links are there. And they can also email me at projectbammovement@gmail.com. And I appreciate all the support. And we will see how things go over the next several months and getting all of these new laws passed and all the upcoming things for everybody's states. And I'm just looking forward to a movement. I'm looking forward to whatever the name is for wherever you live. Hopefully, we can just get programs implemented in everybody's states because what it seems like since the petition started, everybody is coming up with their own programs and different things, and that's exciting. That's all I actually
Yes.
wanted. So if we can just get it all pushed throughout each state, then we at least know wherever we go with our kids or our loved ones, whatever the case may be, everybody is protected. So if you're traveling or if you decide to move from one state to the other, you at least know that you have resources and the teachers, the educators, first responders are all being trained and they're aware of what autism is, what bipolar disorder is, PTSD, and all of those things. So I appreciate you having me. Thank you
Of
so
course.
much. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
As always, and thank you for walking with us. And sis, thank you for walking with us during the cool of the day. Like this is where it's at. We talk about Christ and we talk about real life, and We talk about it, we talk about it together and with God, He's always here with us. Um, yeah, it's been amazing, and I thank you for coming on, and definitely reach out to me. I'm in a whole nother state too.
Absolutely.
South Carolina, and here I feel like that will be something. If it's not, that will be something that the people here would definitely get involved in. We're big on community and making the community better. And there's a lot of kids here that I see with autism, even in the schools, but God is good and everything is
Yes, he
well.
is.
All is well.
Always. We
All
got to
is
keep
well.
God first. Well, thank you so much. I'll see you next time. And I'm gonna reach out to the organization that we're doing a meeting in November to see if they're ready to do South Carolina yet or how they want to do. And if so, I'll send you some information on one of the laws that they're getting ready to try to pass in Georgia and then see how they want to do because I know they're trying to expand some stuff to each state. So I will
Okay.
definitely be in touch and thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's your girl
Take care.
Keisha. Peace. Peace. It's the cool of the day. The cool of the day. The cool of the day.